very much. Karen, thank you very, very much for that fine introduction. It's great, and I've waited for a long time just to say to you people, good morning, fellow Liberals. But, ladies and gentlemen, what an extraordinary experience you've given me over the last couple of years. And I know, as Angus said before, this is not personal, it's not about me, but it is partly about the Senate pre-selection process that Michael and I were involved in on the 19th of March this year. Many of you have been telling me for about a year or so before that pre-selection that I had no chance of winning. I had no chance of getting a winnable position. The faction bosses had decided who they wanted as their candidate. The sitting ministers, as they should be, get preference, and that was it. It was a done deal. My wife and I decided to give it a go, give it a run, because I really wanted to know how this party worked. I wanted to know and I wanted to feel the Liberal Party. I'm comforted that the Liberal Party in New South Wales contains people of the highest ability and integrity. And what the Liberal Party stands for, I totally support. We desperately need the kind of strong and decisive leadership, particularly in this division, which is the engine room of the Liberal Party in Australia. It would be a gross failure if local party leadership was more concerned with who can be controlled and how much personal gain can be made out of which parliamentarians, because we in Australia do not have time for that. Much to my surprise in the election, over 10,000 people voted for me below the line. And that's no easy task, given the complexity of the ballot paper, the newness of the process, and the fact that I couldn't campaign for myself. To you all, I say thank you, but I suspect the vote wasn't as much for me as it was about protesting against how the party is run. It's a shame it didn't recognise my political brilliance, but I suspect that's the case. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that this must be something to think about, at least for the New South Wales division of the Liberals. More people voted for an unwinnable candidate below the line than there are members in the New South Wales division of the Liberal Party. As someone who as a soldier has accompanied 5 countries down their road to democracy, who has seen people prepared to die for the right to vote, who's taken life to defend democracy so that others may enjoy it, the Senate pre-selection that Michael and I were involved in was interesting, to say the least. I've given my views on this to the party, but I've yet to receive an indication that anything is likely to happen internally, and this conference, this resolution, gives me hope. I've no objection to factions. It's human nature to form them. But they should be based at least partially on an idea. I've no objection to lobbyists, but they should never be involved in picking the politicians that they ultimately lobby. In no way at all. One member, ladies and gentlemen, one vote would be a big step to overcoming this. And national constitutions, as we all know, are there to protect the rights of the average citizens from the abuse of governments. Civil wars have been fought on this issue. I was amazed that our New South Wales Liberal Constitution does not seem to protect members' rights as much as it should, because it seems, from my personal observation and experience, to be regularly misused. The arrogance shown by arbitrary changes to pre-selection results, the arrogance towards most of the 108 good Liberals who turned up for our pre-selection at their own expense, came to Sydney, really must reinforce in party members' minds that they are of no importance to the party except cosmetically, that they are not part of any team. But in my view, ladies and gentlemen, the potential is slightly larger. than just the Senate pre-selection. Looking at our party outside of the pre-selection, I was reminded of that term, unthinking custom and practice. In stuff-ups that I've been involved in over many years in big organisations, when things go wrong and I question how we got ourselves into this situation, the answer is normally something like, that's just how we've been doing it around here for years and years and years. Unethical practice in any organisation can lead quite successfully to short-term gain, but unethical practice will inevitably lead to longer-term loss. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be too smart by half. You can win in war and you can win in politics by acting ethically. And by acting ethically, you avoid the inevitable pitfall of unethical action, that is, you're going to be discovered. In both war and in politics, you need to be tough and you need to be clever. But if you confuse unethical behaviour for toughness, if you confuse arrogance with clever ethical leadership, in our open and accountable society, you will fail as an individual and as an organisation. Look at our sports clubs, our churches, our militaries, and our own recent Liberal Party experience. During the campaign, I was reminded that politics is a team sport, therefore I should avoid public criticism, and I accept this. And I have made my detailed complaints and observations internally. I'm also very much aware that a political party can only remain a team if its members believe that there is justice in the party, that it remains the team members' party and is not run by individuals for ego or personal gain. Fellow Liberals, there was... Thank you. Fellow Liberals, there was no team spirit in Michael and my pre-selection. Sadly enough, I could never recommend others to go through that process, and that's a real tragedy. I also note on the day of my divisive pre-selection, the Victorian division of the Liberal Party in Goldstein electorate pre-selected a man with considerable life experience and success, pre-selected by a narrow margin against quality candidates from a plebiscite of all team members. And this, of course, is Marcus Bastian's territory, and I hope he will talk about it, but there seemed to be no whisper of impropriety on that day. It's now the turn of the New South Wales division of the Liberal Party to show that this division deserves our support, that the division will not be run as a private fiefdom, that its affairs will be conducted ethically, morally and legally, that it acknowledges the connection, as the Prime Minister says, between numbers of members and the success of the party, and that it's prepared to show that it believes in democracy, the basis of which is one member and one vote. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for that.